Welcome to the busy season of the NBA. There is no busier time where more shit is constantly popping than right now. Nothing more popping than the week of the draft. Free agency kicks off on June 30th. We rolled directly into Summer League where we get to see all of those rookies and has-beens trying to show themselves to the world. Also, betting the Summer League second year gonna be electric. Let's just say that. Me up in Thomas and Mack Center on my little BetMGM app. Degeneracy. All games of the Summer League are televised this year. Every single one. I don't even know how that's possible, but TNT and ESPN made that, or NBA TV and ESPN made that shit happen. TNT would have been wild. I will be on the ground from Summer League the entire time. We'll be doing some live shows. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about, first and foremost, the biggest surprise for me this NBA season. Boston got good out of nowhere, addition by subtraction. They got rid of Fournier, they got rid of Kemba, and we said, yeah, that makes sense. Those pieces didn't really work there. They didn't really add anyone of note until, the trade deadline, but it was Derek White. So they did everything that they did with the same core that they've had for many years, and they got to the finals, and it looked like they could have had an opportunity to become NBA champs. Ime Udoka finally got his team to buy into defense after ditching the guys who didn't want to play defense, and Josh Richardson and Dennis Schroeder and Enes Kanter. Time Lord was a massive surprise with how good he ended up being. Very important piece to this team. He was leading blocks, the leader in blocks in every location on the court this season. Every single location. Threes, every part, Rob Williams held it down. The two Jays showed the world that they could play together. Marcus Smart found his way into the bedroom of a NBA reporter so that he could propagandize himself into a DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year trophy. Good for Marcus Smart. So that's probably one of the biggest surprises. Another one, the Nets went from, I went back and listened to me and your first episode, Brock. And I said something crazy. I said, if the Nets can be healthy, fully healthy, they will be stratospheres above everyone else. And I was like, yee. I listened back and I go, yee, that's me. 3 minutes into our Eastern Conference preview, we did also say that the Nets were in more turmoil than any other team in the NBA, and that ended up being the case. But scary hours never happened. Harden never ended up being in shape. Kyrie never ended up being there full time. Blake Griffin regressed to Detroit Blake Griffin. LaMarcus regressed to San Antonio LaMarcus. All eyes were on the Nets, and all eyes said, God, no. Please, let me get this off my television. Turns out we never really got to see the Nets fully healthy. KD, Harden, Kyrie only played 16 games together. 16 games. They were a 7 seed, not a 1 seed like we thought that they should be. Got swept. Now that there are rumors that the Nets and Kyrie are at an impasse with their contract negotiations, and so he might be looking for another destination as well. Which means, folks, if Kyrie goes, then you have to imagine that Kevin Durant will go. And then you have to imagine that Ben Simmons will go. And we'll go fully into rebuild mode again. So you're talking about a team that had Kyrie, KD, had Harden, at one point had Jared Allen before Harden, had Karis LeVert, had Joe Harris. This team is now, it's like a radioactive nuclear warhead went off into this franchise because you look around and it's just everything, all signs of life are gone. So that is wild because everyone thought that this team was going to be the leader in the clubhouse to win it all for the next 3 to 5 years with these three talents on the same squad. Crazy. Least surprising thing, Philly not being a contender, truthfully. Embiid, I said, is going to have to show me he can play more than 75% of the game. The bench is shaky. I do not think this team is contending. And yes, that all came to fruition, except for that they ended up finding a way to get James Harden. Wild turn of events that did not help them in any way. Actually, probably hurt them. Daryl Morey told the world he was going to get multiple first-rounders for Ben Simmons. It turns out he had to give up multiple first-rounders to get rid of Ben Simmons and acquire James Harden. So there was that. Now there's a lot of speculation about James Harden, how long his extension will be for. Some people are saying it's only going to be a 3-year deal instead of a max 5-year deal. Philly, as you know, is now looking to trade everyone. 2 franchises with high hopes, 2 franchises that are now literally decimating their roster. To do what? I have no idea. Probably the Warriors winning a title is the most surprising thing for me. But that was wild. Least surprising, biggest disappointment, Lakers and the Nets. Lakers we knew weren't going to be much. The Lakers we knew were going to have spacing issues with Russell Westbrook. The Nets were disappointment, as I've said, but they're kind of tied. And the Lakers now have gotten rid of Frank Vogel. They've got a new head coach, Russell Westbrook, showing up to his press conferences, standing in the room like a mob boss, waiting to collect the money that you owe. And I'm not sure that they get any better moving forward. Worst prediction of the year? 2 of them. Golden State being a 7 seed and getting bounced out of the first round of the playoffs. They are a champion. They are champions. Nothing that needs to be said. I watched all of the Warriors parade today, and I ingested it all, and I was like, they're talking about me. Draymond was like, shut the fuck up! Shut up! Shut up! We hate all y'all except for Warriors fans. It's like, yo, yikes. Also, Bucks versus Suns. I thought they would go to the finals again. I lost a smooth $150 on that prediction. So, wild. Not exactly something. They looked both good. And let's just be honest. The Suns all had COVID. They all had COVID for Game 7. That's now been widely reported. I've known this for months. I've been keeping it to myself like a little canary. Wanting to share. But they all had COVID. They did. Hard to play basketball when you can barely breathe and keep your head on straight. And the Bucks lost Chris Middleton. So, I mean, what are you going to do? One team has COVID, the other one loses their second option on offense. So that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, folks. That's why it's a hard and arduous path to get to a championship.